These are the notes for 2.3 functions. We're going to start with the basics. A function is a rule, and almost always in maths you'll see this rule as an equation. So you'll see f of x equal, and that right hand side that you often see, that's the rule. And it turns domain numbers into range numbers. Functions take x values and turn them into y values. So if we take an example where we say f of x is equal to x cubed minus 10, well, a domain number such as 3 will go to a range number, which if we put 3 into our equation, we're going to get 17. So we say that f takes 3 to 17, or f of 3 is equal to 17. Now the thing that I want you to take from this is the numbers that go into f, they make up the domain, and the numbers that come out of f, the values that f itself takes, are called the range of f. Okay, so we don't put every single number in as x. That isn't what we always do. Sometimes that's what we want. We say x is all possible values of the real numbers, and that can be perfectly legitimate. However, sometimes we like to restrict the values of x that we put in just to a smaller set of numbers, such as only positive numbers or between 2 and 4. So we can exclude values of x. The values of x that we do use, that set of values of x, it is known as the domain. So it's that thing on the left-hand side. The domain are the x values. The values that come out when we put each member of our domain in turn into our formula, those values are known as the range. And we often associate the range values with the y coordinates or the y values. They are actually the values f of x can take, but we so frequently see y equals f of x, we just think of y and f of x being the same thing. The number in the domain that is taken to 0 by our function f has a special name. It's called a root. Often, when you're solving equations, you'll be finding roots. So that value, when f of x equals 0, that value of x is called the root of f. So some examples for us now. The first thing that you'll be expected to do at A-level maths is know how to find out the value of f of 5. What you do is you substitute the number 5 in to wherever you see x in the formula, and you conduct the actual calculation and you come out with 16, remembering to follow BIDMAS rules. When you have a squared, it's really important to put brackets around that minus 2 so that you get a positive 4. Negative 4 would be wrong in that position, and if you don't use brackets, you're going to get the wrong answer. Another thing we can be asked is to find the roots of a function that we're given. All we have to do is swap f of x for the bit of algebra and go on and solve. In this case, it's dots, difference of two squares, to factorise, and I find my values of x as being 3 and minus 3. These are what we call the roots of f of x, and you often see them as x-intercepts on a graph. Okay, the last skill that I'm going to ask you to do is I just want you to notice that I've got two functions in the question and I'm asked to solve f of x equals gx. The trick here is to swap f of x for its real life algebra thingy and do the same with g of x. And you put those in place in the equation and you've written the equation that makes much more sense to you now. You're expanding brackets, you're moving things to one side, you may be factorising if it's a quadratic to find your two solutions, but you could use other methods as well. In fact, in this case, x minus 9 and x plus 2 are the two factors which give us x equals minus 2 and 9 as our two roots. Yes, they are they're not roots, solutions. These are solutions, they are not roots of either g or x, or g or f.